Good morning. Sorry, I had a bit of stuff to take care of there, and it might lead to more things that will interrupt streams, but... Alright, okay, you're off. So, one of the things I wanted for a while is a way to view full family trees. What'd I leave up? Oh, yep. I was thinking about the other stuff. There is a family tree browser that does pretty good. I mean, it tells you, like, it can tell you for this generation. It can tell you about some of your contemporaries. But I never really got a sense of how big a family was. And there's a whole lot of detail in here. It shows one for this generation. There could be another branch from a different sibling who got to generation 9 or generation 10. And maybe like this person there was like, one or two babies, and another person there's like a big family that's actually still going, and you just kind of picks the first Gen 10. So what I'd like to do... Oops, that was a search. I don't know. It's so silly how it does that. You put in a URL, it does a search. Graphviz is a package which takes very simple textual descriptions, and I've sometimes used packages to simplify that, and then turns them into probably more like this kind of graph. Where you've got descendants and ancestors, and then we'll see how much detail we want to add to it. So for developing the graph, all you'd need is the born to mother links. But to do just one family instead of trying to graph the entire history of the world, which I don't know that Graphviz would handle that very well. I don't know how our program is going to handle it necessarily. We might need a database. I'll see if I can get by without it, how bad the load times are. But what we've got is this textual description. Like I said, it would be trivial to process this into player ID, parent ID. But actually, we're still going to have to trace out a family line to do just that family. And we've got data by servers. I suspect that in most of my playing on server 1, probably, it'd be 2 and 3 at times, especially when server 1 was offline. So the first thing we're going to have to do, actually... And, I could kind of start with, like, a day I knew I was playing and try to find one of my family trees. But we're probably going to want... Well, I mean, we can test what the load times are for everything. But at some point, to make this a general tool, we're probably going to want to be able to just iterate through here and download all these files. Which hopefully won't be too bad. So for that, we're going to need some sort of HTTP fetch. And I'm going to have to try and remember, because there are several. Is Ruby Toolbox still around? It appears to have been restyled. No, actually, we want HTTP. Oh, they don't have the graphical comparison anymore. So Faraday appears to be pretty popular. I think HTTP client was the one that I'd been using recently. Well, okay, over 1 year ago. I mean, maybe it just kind of is done. What's the distinguishing features of this? Oh, multiple backends. That's why this is popular for it. Because libraries that want to use HTTP without determining which HTTP library you use, can probably use this and then, still have their code compatible with everything else. So that's probably a good thing for libraries. That want to be able to do that without interfering with the main app's choice. But I know at one point I had been doing HTTP client. Which I'm going to have to refresh myself on. But first of all, I did check, and it appears, I think... I definitely have some sort of Ruby installed. We may have to see about getting some other bits of ecosystem set up. Because I haven't done a lot of Ruby stuff on this computer yet. So actually, documents... There used to be full tabs for this. Okay. 1 hour, 1 life. E 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 life. Family trees. And let's see. Right now, this is going to be more of a application than a gem, although a gem is still one way to express dependencies. Do we have bundler? No. Do we have Ruby gems? Yes. I probably don't have any kind of multi-Ruby thing set up on here. We can probably deal with that later. No, and then the bundler does... No, it was RVM that did gem sets. So bundler is one way to manage packages for different projects at the library level. Oh. Okay. We got controlled folder access going off again. Which is... settings, controlled folder access. Was that a C level thing? Yes. Probably been. So it appears to have installed something. I don't know what it was trying to do locally. Well, it didn't succeed at doing anything locally. But do we have a bundle command now? Could not locate gem file. Bundle init. All right. I know one way to use this with gems, you just reference up the gem file. Repo name. All right, so we think that we're going to want, not a REST client, HTTP client. I might, Rake would be one way to run programs. Although I think it kind of gets overused. It's probably more appropriate when you are doing dependencies between tasks. Now we might end up with some sort of processing pipeline here, or we download files and convert them into databases or something, and then produce Graphviz files and then display them. It's probably too far right now. So we can just have a program that does stuff. And it's actually been a while. I'm forgetting what the default Ruby gem layout is. Although I'm probably going to be going to look at one of my other projects at some point anyway. So lib for a library. Maybe other things will end up sort of top level. We'll see. Well, actually, what the thing with lib is that was what you end up putting into your path. So yeah, here's more Graphviz stuff, and this used. Oh, this never got turned into a. I thought I made this into a proper gem. Source Ruby gems. Did I never commit the gem spec? Well, I guess I'm gonna have to go fix that sometime. Well, yeah. Because I probably wasn't thinking it was part of the package necessarily. Or maybe I was using a thing that I might have been using a thing that generated the gem spec on demand at this time. Yeah, so this is a rake file that generates it. So we have tasks. Readme.rake. So surely something in here. Has the dependencies? Graphviz R. That's the one I was using. Anyway, the thing I was looking for is that most of our stuff is probably going to end up in lib. Just so we can set the path there and not have other stuff coming in. All right, so we have HTTP client. It's been a little while since I worked in Ruby, so it might be a little rough starting out. So we need to get into lib. So we're going to have just a fetch file right now, I guess. And, well, it might turn into more of a one function in a program. All right, so this is where I need a refresher on HTTP client. Oops. I guess they mean this thing. Because it's the package, just the package name, the links are getting confused. Because they're semi-automatic from the documentation system. All right, HTTP client.new. We'll need to wrap this up at some point. All right, set cookie urls.each. Oh, he's doing a designed to be multi-threaded safe. I don't know if I need to be slowing bandwidth that hard, especially while streaming. Accessing resources through a proxy. Okay, client.get. Probably get content is fine for this. Now, index. This is probably the web server returning HTML. And I'm going to have to deal with directory listings for these pages. It's not like I can just, well, we'll just enumerate the servers and and look through it. So I might, for the sake of expediency, want to get something like Nokogiri to... let's see. Will be toolbox. HTML and markup. Markup processors? No, it's the wrong kind of markup. This is HTML and markup. HTML parsing. Okay, Nokogiri still on top by a large margin. So there hasn't necessarily been anything... I mean, these might just be unpopular packages that... Do we have anything that's like size or complexity? No, well, it's one I've used before. All right, well, step one is fetch this page. So HTTP dot. We can probably get content. And then we can just print that for now. And now, it's been a while since I kind of ran Ruby directly command line, so this could be interesting. Well, it only gets really interesting when you're doing dependencies between your own files. Okay, that does appear to be, in fact, well, that's actually like, okay, there is a body HTML, so it's not, it is very, very simple. You know, maybe not up to all the latest standards with doc types and things, but it is a complete document. That might be simple enough to parse with something else. But something else offhand is going to be regex, and they really say don't do that. Or something like it. Looks like there are regular new lines here. This is by no means a general parsing problem. Well, let's see. If Nokogiri is playing nice on Windows. Packaged libraries. Okay, so I think I may have seen compile messages for that in the past. They may be able to ship some precompiled binaries for some cases. Now you, I'm also going to need a refresher on. I don't remember it being hard, but... we're back in our gem file. Yeah, I'll do the data files as a separate step. This is just going to be reading down the directory tree. So this is going to be server list. Well, server directory. The server list, well, they say that we need to do a parser. Here's what we needed. Require Gogiri HTML, and this is our server directory. Okay, so there's XPath, which I'd have to XPath and CSS. Acts very much like an array, yeah. So actually this might be, we might. Oh, looks like I've got some sort of syntax checker going on. Be able to do, for our simple case, do, and this is probably just, well, anchor elements, but we're going to have to deal with some of the, parent directory links and things. So each do, it's going to be nodes. And then how do we get properties of these things? Okay, well this is searching. Maybe this will kind of touch on it. Okay, dot content. Parent. Okay. Well, do we just have an href property? That would be too easy. Undefined method href. XML element. Alright, so what we really need is, what is it? Methods minus object.instance methods, I think is the invocation, and then we just quit because we don't want to do multiples of these. Actually, what I should do to be nice is fetch this, dump it to a file. So server directory, which means I have to remember how to do file IO. I mean, it's standard library. Do I even need to... exactly which version was this? 2.4.1, perfect. Okay, this is file utils. That's one way to do it. I thought there was a file. It all got rolled into file utils? Oh, I know one of them was dir. Nope. Unless that's core. Oh, okay, so file and dir are core. So is there... exist file... new file name mode. So we would need to file.new, and this is this might be where some break-like functionality come in handy. File.new mode, right. Oh, that's right. Actually, we do kind of want open, because that takes the block form that auto closes it for us. Do we want to... that should be fine. So no, there's two conventions for this. One is you do curly brackets for things that return a value, and do end for things that don't, even though they kind of both do, I think. You have curly bracket syntax and you have do end syntax. I think the other one is one line versus multi-line. Anyway, so given an instance, see, those were all class methods, right? Yeah, instance methods. Oh, you have a module which is IO, which is like append. Right? It's probably comparable to append, but f.write server directory, and then having run that once, all right, and this is where we might actually want to do a function. So we can do oh man, is there a syntax for functions? Or do we wish to find fetch and cache of well, it's saving a name. Doesn't seem like do end. Oh man, I'm rusty. Okay. It's like these little things that you do so often, when you're doing normal code, you just kind of forget about them. and you come back after a while. They just kind of become invisible in normal code, and you don't ever have to think about them. So what we're going to do here, though, is this is going to be contents. And then we're going to do server directory equals fetch and cache. Or we're gonna have to update these names at some point. Now, isn't there just like a file read file? Readable. No, I guess not. Oh, no, we want to go back into I/O. Read lines. No, we just need the contents. Reads length bytes, but it's optional. End of file. So we grab U again, and then we just do a quick f.read. So that this could be this, or it could be load cache without bothering the server. Oh, I'm probably going to end up using that for multiple things, is the issue. Their checking's a little bit too good. Not, oh, right, I copied the right code. Hopefully that didn't erase it. I think that erased it. Oh, that's right. Once you start doing this, I could define some sort of module for this to have shared code. It does deal with scoping to somewhat. Empty for integer? Oh. Return contents. You'll implicitly return that. All right, now we should be able to load our local cache, which we should probably set up. Yeah, we should probably have a place to put that. I guess to some extent all things are cached. But really our ultimate goal is to download all the files. And you'll go in there. All right, so we should still be able to load that up. All right, so now what do we have? The Nokogiri documentation was not very helpful here. More resources. Huh. This was just a new tab. Documentation. Which is that? Maybe the README is more helpful? Content, content, content. No. That says tutorials and Hmm. All right, I guess we're about to look at the methods. Content. Maybe that's an adder? P node.adder href. Yeah. Wrong number of arguments given. Oh, no, it's a function. For some reason, I was thinking it was a collection, or collection-like thing. Aha, dot dot. So, don't need you right now. So if we do that, we should get So I'm just curious. What is this? Empty directory. Okay. So for this, we need to ignore next if let's pull out path equals this. Next if path equals and then it is dot dot slash path equals life log slash ppath. Okay, that looks like all the things we want. Now, these are relative hrefs, so I should be able to append them to my base, which means you probably want to define that. show. Now we want to do fetching one of those will get us another directory. Plus, we'll probably want to add that to our cache path. Hopefully the dots won't be a problem for directories. And these don't appear to have any okay. So we get base URL. It's like I might want to turn this into some kind of recursive function. I don't know. So we remove those. The dot should still work. LifeLog just doesn't exist. So we would have to do something like that. For most so these are actually going to be we actually have to do make dir. And in core, that would actually be a dir, right? Exist. New open. So, Vixit, thank you for the follow. Glad you like watching me puzzle over documents. It's been a good while since I've done a bunch of Ruby hacking. Exists for each. Maybe more of an instance method to create a directory. Oh, you know what? That might actually be a file operation. Or even a file util operation. Weirdly enough. Directory. Make dir? Make FIFO. All right, we might actually need to have you open and you open. Get working. Oh, that dir.make dir. Okay. So, given this, we need to say if unless dir.exist cache plus path okay. Dir.make dir. Actually, I guess I get in the habit of doing parentheses all the time because things can tend to Yeah, like here, it's ambiguous whether you want to add the path to the argument or to the result of the function. So that's already doing something. Yep, all right, we've got directories. And then for each one, we need to do something like this, which is itself a whole iteration process. You know, I think I want to extract this into a list so that I can close out this Nokogiri context and not have to worry about kind of nesting them down. Which actually means that even this would have to get put off till later. So each do... Well, no, we're just going to next here, which means we would not be adding things. So we would have a... extract server list. From a... And then within this, we can do servers. And then if not, actually all we're doing here is servers. And then this will end up moving down. So now we can say server list is an extract server list of server directory. And then eventually we're going to want to wrap this up, but server list dot each do path. Make sure that still runs. Uh-oh. Server directory. Oh, because we moved this in. So now it's just this. And then we have to return that. All right, we believe that's still working. So now we've got a server list. We can make directories with it. For each of those, we want to fetch files. Fetch file list, mirroring what we've done above. So I don't remember. Let's see. It's been a while. I think Ruby doesn't care about file order. So we can start to pull some of this stuff down. So we've got our top level diff, and that's sort of setup. That's a top level definition. We get that from there. We extract the server list, and then we're doing that. Let's make sure that it's not order dependent. Oh, I was right there. Load cache. Okay, so it is order dependent. Maybe in objects it's not, because you're not calling things immediately. Yeah, if I put it in a function and called the function, it'd probably be okay. Well, if I called the function at the bottom of the file. Server list, extract server list. So then we wanted to look for something like first we have to fetch file list. You know what we should probably do? We should probably call this index.html. That might also, incidentally, make this a little bit easier to reuse. To make it reusable, well, let's just fetch in the contents. Oh, and this is, because that's the directory, it's direct effectively index, so explicit code might be just easier. And a little bit of duplication. So def fetch file list for a path. Base URL plus path. Cache. I think it had the slash on it. Hopefully it'll be okay with that. Turn content. So now we fetch file list. Well, it is writing the contents. Okay, so I should probably update this sort of fetch file thing. And I'm already duplicating code here, which bothers me. Yeah. Sure. But what I want to do... Well, there's probably reasons to refresh this. Actually, yeah, there's reasons to refresh this, but for now, I don't want to be hammering the server every time we test this. So contents. So how about cache equals... Maybe we should do it cache path. And then we say, is there a file.exist perhaps? Well, no, except we have to do return contents. So what we have is if. And this probably kind of says how we should be doing this one as well. I really want to print that. How about the length of the string for now? Oh, this, however, is standard library, not core. Nil class. Huh. Nil. Okay, so something about this is not working right. Now it is answering file exists. And the files appear to exist. Oh, this is probably a case of, yeah. This one would have to return immediately, whereas this one would return contents. All right, so now some indicator of we did a successful file. All right, so I've downloaded the indexes of all of the files on each server. Index. So now we're going to process much like this. We're going to have like extract. Let's call this log a little bit more explicit. It is a directory. We are looking at those. You know, I can actually really use the same file here. So this just becomes an extract path list is more accurate. It'll be spammy. Wait, we still got to extract server list somewhere. There we go. Ooh. Integer. Where did I return a file from something? Oh, or maybe if it was a file object, link was still a valid method. Is it class? integer. Okay, what? Okay, yes, if we're doing length, then yes, it is an integer. Oh, I left the length on there, which is why it was complaining. All right, logs equals extract path list index. All right, I was just printing these before. Yeah, okay, so there's all our names. So all the logs for that one. So now I've got a third fetch, but it's not a index. We've already got the directory for this path. Well, it is going to look a little bit like that. But it's not going to be index. Maybe... the way to do this is to take this. So this is really kind of a fetch file list in all cases. And just pass this in. So now fetch and cache. The server becomes fetch file list. Path. And then we don't have this. We don't have this. And then fetch file list. Did I actually remove? I did not remove it yet. So then, that's just contents, fetch, well, it's not fetch file list, it's fetch file. And that was a bunch of changes. Yep. We missed a fetch file list. Okay. Still working. Worked pretty fast, so I think we're actually using our cache for stuff. And now, hopefully it doesn't affect the stream. Logs.eachDo. Well, for now we just want to do a fetch pass. Fetch file. Oh, this is file paths. So this is log paths. Fetch file. These are all relative directories. And did I... Yeah, that includes base URL. Maybe it shouldn't. And then this is slightly duplicate here. No, not F. Log path. Yeah, log path. Log path. And this was going to be a very short line, but it didn't turn out to be such a short line. Unexpected keyword end. So this has no feedback right now. Oh, I was still printing all those. And let's do a quick check that we are, oh, okay, we are saving them somewhere useful. So this will be a slightly slow process. This is a somewhat useful checkpoint that we can start dealing with the data rather than just getting the data. At this point, yeah, this is a fetch script. I would probably want to do some degree of kind of starting over and just using that data. So, oh, yeah, it was affecting a little bit. So that's going to be running for a bit. Interesting. Okay. Get status. That's not a repo. Get init. We're not going to want to commit cache. Oh, and now I actually want to have this over here somewhere, so keep an eye on it. Oh, I didn't put a rate limit on this. Hopefully doing it once isn't going to be too bad here. Because I did set up caching, so hopefully if we have to rerun something, it'll be okay. Edit.getIgnore, we want to ignore cache. Okay, get ignore gem file. Lock is fine for something that's not a gem. We've got one script in lib. And I kind of want to see that this actually finishes, but we've got a baseline here. Of course, we're up to May at this point. Well, server 1 should be the biggest files. Although there did used to be more spread across the servers. This is actually a good opportunity for me to take a break and stretch and refresh my water, though. So I will be back in a few minutes. Oh. Again? So maybe it's an accident.
Okay, we're getting a lot of iron. That's good to see. We're finding a whole bunch in this outside area. Okay, we could get down here and use this. Anybody have any recommendations for the neural vacillator?
Giggles. Feels so.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. If we dig this out, fertilizers are off. Yeah, these fertilizer synthesizers are turned off. That's intentional, because we didn't. We've got this section. and that one's going pretty strong. As far as it goes, the only reason they're all active right now is because we had a backup in the bathrooms. Usually they barely run.
And a wheel. Looking up, Julia. Looking up, Julia. There's been a murder. Who done it? Oh my God.
A little bit here.
Keep that piss golden, boys. Oh, fuck. If there was a quote of the day here, that would be the quote of the day.
Yo, standing desks are incredible balls. Like, my balls feel great. Stop to say that.
All right, they're gonna get popped eardrums, but oh, jeez. All right, welcome back. We're still going. I did not think to put anything in here about the full path, i.e., which server we're on. Although we might be able to kind of figure that out. We're not even on to server 2 yet. Although I think we're hitting the periods where server 1 was offline a bit, so those are going pretty quick. Two and 3, I would expect still have a fair amount of data in them. And then these should be relatively quick as it goes. But we do have some data files, so we could start looking at kind of building up some support for breaking up the data, see how long it takes to load a single file. You know, like, is it reasonable to, oh, wow, okay, so I guess very early on we weren't even getting into multiple servers that often. Interesting. Yeah, I forget when I found out about the game, but oh, wow. Oh, you know what? I think, yeah, I wonder if it was going in this order. So we did server 10. Because that would make all these go very fast. I think that's actually the order. Yeah, that's actually the order he listed them in. So Windows knows how to sort the numbers. But yeah, that would be server 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then we'll get to these other bigger-ish ones. We've got a bunch of data on server 1, though. So we're done with our HTTP and HTML stuff. And what we've got is this. Oh, I could actually load one of these up now. Server 1. Okay, fine. Oh, it doesn't even like it. I mean, these should be fine. Oh, this is going to be very inconvenient. Oh, it's going to be very inconvenient. All right. Oh, well, yeah, this server's starting up, so everyone's being born and not dying yet. All right, so birth and death have different data elements. And they look pretty consistent here for the first couple fields. So Unix time, player ID, email hash. And then it starts to diverge. So we're going to want to be able to spin through one of these files. And I guess initially what we want to do is just see if we can stuff it all into a hash. And see how, if that is reasonable or unreasonable on a memory and time basis. So, well, we'll start off. Well, what do we want to do with this? Well, right now I just need to parse a life log. So, well, this will be a little crummy at first, but so we need I'm not sure if this should include the file stuff. But we've got a line to open a file. Maybe it was too simple for this. Yeah. So let's, for now, we'll just do a test file. File.open, cache. Of course, now I have to actually deal with these strings. It was all programmatic before. Actually, will it give me, like, copy path? Nope. All right, cache, life log, server1.1hour1life.com. 2018. 03 March 09 2018 03 March. Duplication, maybe for sorting. March 9th, Friday. And let's print that to see if we actually typed that correctly. Ruby lib life log. Okay, we got the path correct. So what do we need to do? We need to do... Actually, for these, we probably want to do relines, which I think is the thing. Okay, we still have the carriage returns on the end. And we'll have to deal with that. So this is lines of one file. So let's see, I guess in Ruby land, we would end up with a class life log and a, ooh. Can't just say new with the text line because there's two different types. So we're actually going to end up with and then you're going to have like that returns one of those or maybe parses out some stuff and then returns that. So we've got a line. It looks like we can do space separated. And then we look at the parts. I don't really know that I could like build a life log and then use that to interpret it. But it's the first one. If parts dot first equals B, maybe then is allowed, I don't think it's required. Then I guess we do parts. It was else if. All right, so initialize parts. So the type is going to end up being the class. The common elements are time equals parts 1. I think that is what that turns out to be. All right, you can go back over here for a little bit. Time, player ID, email hash. And then for birth, we do def initialize parts. I think super implicitly does that. And then for birth, and there's also a level here where we're building up knowledge about a player, which we get from having both their birth and their death. Oh, yeah. So this would be a way we could build up these records. But then what we actually want is like lives, where we have both. Oh, actually, female male is in both. And then the cause of death. Let's go to another epitaph in the life log. Be an interesting thing to include in the graph. Although for basic graphing, we really only need the birth records. Oh, and then names are a separate list, which you did want to for display purposes. That should be possible to add on later. So what I'm making right now is life logs. Yeah. You're right. So technically life log birth, life log death still makes sense. But you're right. You do have to do this. I'm actually trying to decide, do I even want a life log class to interpret this? Or do I just want to pull things out and make a player? But maybe there's some utility in being able to interpret life logs independently of what we do with it. So for a birth record, we have... so parts... So as a string, it's that. Well, step one, we're not even going to use coordinates, so we won't worry about interpreting that yet. Parent player ID or no parent. All right, birth. Coordinates, which we'll have to deal with no parent. I'm not even sure I care about population for these purposes, and some of these actually do repeat for death. So 4 here is age, and then gender is 5, and then coordinates, which becomes 6, and we do have a population, we have a chain, don't have a parent. All right. But 4, 5, 6, 7. However, this becomes 8, and 7 becomes cause. Which killer is done as a concatenation. Huh. And actually, some of these fields are actually named. So you could sort of... Yeah, I mean, you could, to a certain extent, you could just go through these and say, oh, well, that looks like Unix time. Well, player IDs could end up looking like Unix times. Hash looks like a hash, age, gender, coordinates. I guess you kind of have to figure out what the causes of death are. Yep. All right, so this is eventually, I think this is going to end up being like some little test code down here. So we have lines, and then lines dot each do line life log dot, actually I think I did life log dot create line, and that's probably going to be ugly as heck. How's our download doing? Seems to be done. What do you mean first? First. Oh. Oh, no, it's just the other one. Okay. So we got player hash. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if it would report a nil if it got a nil. So we have a, well, actually probably the end of this is probably, oh, then we had a birth right at the end of the log, because he's going to roll over the next day. So we've got a birth. I could probably convert some of these other data types. So like time could be upgraded, player could be an ID, or rather could be an integer rather. Chords. Oh, but then parent. But then parent could be a... Well, if no parent is the only thing we have to worry about, I guess we could do nil there. As much as I dislike nil. Well, what we can do is we can... do a little... well, no, because it wouldn't be a value. To be a... Oh, yeah, it would be a value. It would have to be like a... So that way, if we get a no method error, it will be that instead of there. Okay. Oh, and then we would want to do attrs for all these. So life log. Attr reader time player hash. And to a certain extent, we're going to have shared fields here, but... wait, yeah. Gender, chords, parent, population, chain, gender, chords, parent, population, chain. And then you're going to look somewhat similar, except we've got age. Forgot my commas. age, gender, chords, cause. All right, and we can probably define some helpers. Well, time, what is it going to be? Is it date time in Ruby? That must be standard library. Date. Must be thinking of something else. Oh, no, there's... Oh, that's the date package. Okay. It handles date, hour, minute, second, and offset. Do I even need... I might just be able to do a 2i on that one. Player hash is just a string. Gender is fine. Chords we're not going to deal with. Parent, that is only on birth and shared code. Equals no parent, then parent equals no parent else parent equals parent dot I. Maybe I should actually just go ahead and do, even though I'll have to duplicate it twice here. Population and chain we're not going to worry too much about yet. Age, we have to parse to get the number. Cause we might want to pull it at some point. So those are going to be the ones we care about. And actually just reading through that was not too bad. Oh, life log, no parent. Are we getting some... Oh, what is parent then, if it's not an ID? Oh, it's a parent equals. Okay. Okay. I am way too rusty my string ops. Did I have... It seems like there should be an easy way to drop the first couple characters. Okay, parent. I don't think there's any other modules. G-subbing it out would be a pretty direct way to say get rid of this stuff. I think index takes a character onward. So if we've got I don't. That would actually probably work. I think we need more than 2. Because, well, it's not going to help. Because it's parent equals. So it take parts it and so parent 1, 2, 6. So we're gonna want to p part 6 and then the result of this. Make sure we're doing this right. Part 6, so it's a 0 offset. That's always a hairy with this. So parent is 38540. We got 3854. Okay, we didn't truncate too many characters. So this would kind of be the pattern for some of these other things, I think. Yeah, 6 letters plus the equal sign. So I guess split equal sign would be another way to do it. So now our parent should be an ID. We've got players as an ID. So now, for a single day, we're just printing them. So log equals logs equals so logs sub log dot player equals log. Oh, you know what? This is currently deaths and births. So this is a handy way to interpret the logs, but I might want to break this out into a separate file. Maybe life. And this is essentially going to be accessor everything, unless I arrange to pass everything in. Or I guess a player could be a life log plus a death log with some convenient accessor methods. Now, one would assume, barring weird progression orders, you would get a birth before a death. But maybe the way to do this is just to have ID. And then so then we can say lives. No, this is the or equals thing. Well, actually, just an ID. So we can do this as, what is the syntax we want? Oh, I did a click through on this, didn't I? Forget the syntax for hash is, which can create their members. So one of the news, yeah, it's hash key. Hash with a block hash sub key hash sub key equals life.new key. So now we can say lives sub log.player. So we do have to say if log Not completely sure about this, but we'll see how it goes. And then what we want out of this isplives.length, I guess, for now. Hash, wrong number of arguments. Oh, hash.new. Okay. 2077 players. So just for comparison, p lines.length. That's roughly half, which makes sense because people are going to be born and have a birth and a death. And that was actually not at all terrible to read in. All right, so far life is a very tiny thing. P lives.length. Let's just do a quick little checkpoint here. Oh, I never actually committed the previous one. Oh well, it's a checkpoint now. Fetch logs. Actually, we still need to do this so it can update properly. So at some point, I'm going to have a way to say don't catch the file list. The other question I'm going to have is I think this is a daily cron job, so you should never have an update to a file. But I don't know. Fetching logs locally, some basic parsing of logs. So now, is dir is a core? Dir.glob turns an array containing all the file names in the given directory. So I'll do a single server for now, because that's really the only thing that's going to be useful to do graphs on. Is there a dir for each is probably what we want. Dir for each, something like this. File name. These are all just blocks, not functions yet. So this can move up. We have something like this. Yeah, just path. And then something like this. And in this case, we'll do a path, so we get some indicator of how long of progress. Is a directory. Oh, we also have to remove next if path equals dot or path. Oh, it's only the relative path. Which is handy for this, but and isn't there? It's under file, isn't it? File dot. String representation of a path. There's a thing you can use to do a system independent assembling of paths, right? I just forgotten what it is. Not expand path. Join. That's what we're looking for. What? Okay. Mind telling me what that is? These might not be UTF-8, could be the issue. In fact, response. text plane. It doesn't really say. No, it would be an encoding, wouldn't it? How do you get invalid byte sequence even? So I need to catch that error. This is happening on 5. Line dot split. Oh, that's right. Easiest way to do this is oh man, I'm rusty on this. All right, Ruby. What if we want a named well, we're looking for an argument error, so we don't have to, we'll just not worry about what we need to do here. For a catch-all. Yep. What? \x? \XA7? So player IDs at this point are approximately 5 digits. So this is just like what is there any meaning to that? A section sign. No, I'm just a player and sometimes hacker on it. The developer of the game is Jason Rohr. If I was the developer of the game, I might know more about the logs. Although the code is like completely like public domain. So I guess I could go look and see if the stuff that generates this puts A7s in there for a reason. This could be server, or this could be scripts, or it could be something in a database engine. That is the interesting part. This might be a script. Life stats. Lineage backup. I think that might be the full lineage data he uses. Walk name line. White maps. Lineage cron job, maybe? Faces, objects, documentation. No, doesn't look like it. Life stats? Life logs and curse logs. Well, that does look kind of like the paths we're dealing with. Life log server. Oh, apparently there's a curse log too. Print life log stats HTML. rsync all life logs and curse logs from servers. That might mean the... Hey, Hegapug, how's it going? That might mean the server's writing it out directly. Make dir rsync. Yeah. Привет, Alex Wolf. Been a while. Okay, it goes. Oh, no, this is the curse log specifically. Oh, there's the rsync for that. Server lifelog /stat text to one life server lifelog server. Presumably that is the directory. Yeah, so there's going to be these date names within the lifelog directory. Within the lifelog directory. So where are we? One life. Let's try. Oop, skipping ourselves to server. There's a lot of stuff here. Lifelog.cpp. File.logdir. Dependencies, make file list. Print lifelog player data. Player stats, HTML. Go to lifelog. So this would be a leading suspect. Open current log files. Yeah, file name, init lifelog, free lifelog, step log. Log birth. Which record was being annoying to us right now? This is a birth record. And it is in the parent field. Curses log birth. In player ID. I mean, these are ints. Could it be something coming from the next field actually? Pop? No? I mean, maybe it was just a weird bug? String no parent, parent equals. Oh, this is Oh, this is not the public life logs. Because he's putting parent equals email in here. Born. And that is the entire string because it's filling the string. So time, player ID, yeah, the email is not there. Gender, XY, parent string, population. All right, so somewhere there is something that makes these publishable. So, and that's something I would expect to be in scripts. Really? Life stats? Life log server, curse log server. Maybe it's the stats. Backup. Make web life log data? Oh, email salt file, yeah. So that looks like it might be doing the cleanup. But just the fact that there was an email address there makes me suspect that like somebody had a weird character in their email address that didn't get properly cleansed by this process. Tempdir, temp life logs, public HTML, public life log data, public life log data. Processing folder. Ooh. Parent equals, yep. So I'd have to dig into what those regexes mean. Place email with a hash. So killer, parent. Huh. Well, this isn't a killer field. We could maybe have the same issue with that. And also, I could do something similar to this and just say, grab only the basic numbers, please. After that, we don't. It's garbage to us. Oh, because this is on the split. We got to a. So we might actually have to remove. I guess in UTF-8, this must be a prefix character for something. And maybe there was a similar kind of issue with the original data. So parent equals blah is our capture, comma, not space star. gtemp2. Maybe sed minus e replaces something with its, oh, no. Replace with capture group 1, which is this. So somehow, and any number of non-space characters, comma, any number of non-space characters. Somehow, a bad character in somebody's email got left in there, I guess. So the question is, how often does this... So I've been attempting to rescue this. Oh. And find, oh yeah, because we can't actually return a player off of this. or anything that looks like a player. Well, where? Well, you're the problem that has the part that has an issue with it. So I guess if split doesn't deal with this, what the heck is regex gonna do? Can we even gsub that out? Undefined method split for enumerator. So maybe it's, replace it with what? With what? Invalid multi-byte character. We might have to treat this as a different kind of encoding. So I guess this is going to be, since these apparently aren't actually UTF-8 files, we need to file open these as something else. And I may still have to deal with this because it's going to mess up our integer stuff. Oh, so there's nothing directly in file open. Dot encoding. Re-encode. Set the encoding without changing the internal byte representation of the string. Force encoding, which it's already invalid, so I don't think transcoding is going to work. Default encoding of strings from the file system of the environment, which is apparently UTF-8. I think US ASCII? But that's not a valid symbol. So how do we... External encoding. So this is actually a useful question. Encoding dot... Because the file system would be the external encoding, right? UTF-8, yeah. May also be set through default external. You should not do this before and after Ruby -E. You know the actual encoding of the data of an I/O object is not the default. You can reset its external encoding with I/O set encoding. Or set it at I/O object creation, io.new. Oh, so maybe this goes up to new. Mode opt. Oh, opt. Okay. Mode is a string. Opt mode. Sets external encoding to ASCII 8-bit. Oh, so maybe I just want to say binary, even though it's text-ish. Must be used separately. What does separately mean? Is it like same as the mode parameter? Oh, apparently can also do it here. That's mode, okay. Is it open? So is it just RB? Nope. It doesn't complain about that. But it's still saying invalid multi-byte character. So probably... So we're doing file, open. Mode perm opt. io.new for description of opt. IO encoding. Encode bomb, okay. So external encoding. External encoding. What was it, US ASCII? Which would kind of override this. No. So default external p-line encoding. Okay, so that's actually coming through as US ASCII. Wait. Is maybe this have to be forced into the same encoding? Did I get... somehow I keep forgetting my change tab command. Go away. I'd swear I knew one at one time. Okay, that was general. I guess I browsed into encoding from somewhere. Probably from one of these. And then browsed out. Encoding, substring encoding. So I guess for you, I would have to do... Let's do a quick test here. If I just do a new string... Oh, this is like the first line, too. Wow. So we would have to do forced encoding, but... Okay, apparently you can specify it as a string, which is going to be easier right now. Nope. And it's still failing on the G-sub, too. How do I get rid of this junk? That's Rails. I mean, maybe there'll be some useful discussion there. Calling retention in a UTF file. Yeah, this is more editor stuff. Magic comments to source files. Automatically detected. Not helpful. That is kind of a regex thing. Well, we have a regex with it. Was one of these not a... it's again Ruby source file. Your Ruby is in UTF-8 mode, but it's not a valid UTF-8 string. UTF-8, you want... Well, those are specific maps for those quotes. Oh, you know what? I wonder if... Split is trying to operate on this, so you need to be... I don't think force encoding is right in this case. Encode. Or I mean, maybe re-encoding is UTF-8. Well, if that's an invalid byte sequence, it's hard to see... yeah, you know what? I wasn't seeing that the server was returning documents in a particular encoding. This was... I don't know. We have any properties here? Windows knows something about encoding. Now see, all right, line dot encoding. Let's do encoding. Was it default external? Right, so it's coming in at US ASCII. But if my problem is, like, how do I convert this to UTF-8 if it's an invalid byte sequence? Oh, that's what. Okay, we get no. We don't have bracketed comments here, do we? I think that if we leave it alone, it comes back at UTF-8, but in both cases, it's complaining. Oh, interesting that we got more of those before we hit the error. So yeah, that returns everything, and then we still get the same error message, invalid byte sequence in UTF-8. So it's like, well, don't process it in UTF-8. What I was thinking is that I might have to do... the split in the same encoding? Nope. Oh, invalid byte sequence in US ASCII. I didn't know that there was such a thing, huh? UTF-8 I understand. That's a multi-byte character set. US ASCII is not a multi-byte character set. Let's see if that gives any better error messages. How can there be such a thing? US ASCII is like pretty... there are no byte sequences. Server's encoding is set to ASCII. Well, the thing is, let's dump this. So we've got the, I actually don't need that anymore. We're printing out the encoding of the line. So if we do this, it's already in UTF-8, but that's an invalid byte sequence in UTF-8. And I can understand invalid sequences in UTF-8 because I understand that, you know, it's like most things are 8, but then certain sequences say we're going to use more bytes for this thing. But I mean, like US ASCII is like, there's only bytes, there's no sequences. So how can you have an invalid sequence? Your server's encoding is set to ASCII, and you're trying to load a gem spec that contains UTF-8. So it would have to know that that file is UTF-8? And from 2011, most distributions default to ASCII. Set your locale in your environment. So it's an invalid byte sequence in whatever it's in. And the problem is that I can't remove it unless I can operate on the string. But it says, oh, that's an invalid invalid byte sequence, so you can't operate on it. I mean, so if US ASCII is not... Oh, maybe ASCII 8-bit, not US ASCII. Maybe I grabbed the wrong one. Oh. Oh, that was not... Oh. That was not my Control-C there. But we do not need this printing out every line. Undefined method player for nil-nil class. Oh, we were rescuing the argument error. Which returned a nil. No. Undefined method player. Undefined method. Oh, this means parts dot first. What I really need to print out here was the line, which is probably just missing a B or a D from the looks of things. Eve Bob? Wait, does any Eve? No, that would be no parent. Oh, the name files are in here and I'm processing all files indiscriminately. Okay, so this is what a name file looks like. Oh, we didn't have names until that feature was implemented. Yep. That's what an Eve file looks like. So I've got to somehow specially handle names. Or for now, I just ignore names. So when we go through files, our path.match I didn't print the file name as we're going here. Oh. Nil class. So we probably got something malformed. All right, we're pretty close here, but I do need to take a short break. Yep. Ah! Well, I can at least try to get near to the truck, or actually, I could even try to get near to home base from this height. See, you got to make that body retrieval easy. You just put it right along the path, pick it up on your way back to the truck.
Match. Interesting. I'm not quite sure. That's actually super odd. But that's all right. I think for this moment in time, let's go ahead, commit this code, and I gotta head out. But
You guys are nerds. You guys are freaking nerds.
Face hurt. Guys, I got to give a shout out. Man, if my fingers would just work right now. Shout out. I am just like so wow. If you guys, oh gosh, that doesn't work. Don't know who Milton T. Pike is, please go over and check him out. He is hilarious. You will instantly fall in love and be inspired. All streamers should just so wish to be like that.
All right. Hopefully we can trace these last little issues down here. No method error. All right, so nil class. Oh. Well. I don't know if I want to print out all of these. And this will just fail afterwards, but... Oh. Oh, that looks like it could... Man, what else am I printing that's getting HTML? But this looks like a just a plain broken line. Because this should have been array. String with a new line. And then what the heck is this? What else am I printing here? Oh, unknown line type. Okay. Oh, so that tech... Yeah, that probably messed up the return type of our... of something here. Yes, that's just an invalid line. So actually, this is parent is just... Which reminds me, I need to put a... path in here so we know which file we're dealing with. So we can, I'm curious to go look these up. I must have changed something. Okay, so it's actually very. Oh, it's processing the index. I should probably put more of a positive name pattern match on here. It gets more into a regex to get all the numbers and stuff. All right, so it's kind of catching and ignoring that, and maybe doing some weird stuff with it, but so that looks like it's June 8th, Friday. At 1528476297. Oh. Yeah, this file just got truncated. That's a shame. All right, so this is just bad data. Oh, I mean, we can kind of tell that was bad data. I was curious what that looked like. So the error we're running into is specifically on the parent part. Mostly we're just sticking these in, and if they're null, or weird. But we are trying to fetch into this. Part 6 equals... Oh, this can... Unknown line type. What? Oh, stats checkpoint. Yeah, I need a positive pattern on this. I just keep running into little gotchas. Next, unless path.match. What is it? Is it /d4 underscore /d2. And then there's the whole thing about not names. I know how to specify a negative character class. Maybe I have to leave names in there. So if it looks like a date, and not, and we'll eventually process the names, but not right now. Or we'll take a separate path when we hit a names file. That's a lot of lives. All right. that's going to be it for now. Successfully parsed all logs on server 1. So for small scale personal use, it looks like it will be practical to just load everything up into memory. Well, there's the other servers to deal with if you're searching for a player. That's life logs. So maybe you could set up like a player search as a separate function that loads all the names, figure out your player ID. And then you would know which server it's on. You know, and you could probably, if you want to get really fancy, you could do sort of expanding search for the family trees to say, well, if it's near enough a possible rollover point and you know that there could have been relatives, we can go searching into their files. Or, you know, just do a database at some point. The loading times are not as bad as I feared. So we might be able to pick a random person and actually try doing a graph of it. And then I could go maybe try and hunt down one of my lives and do that specific graph based on actually that would be a known player ID. We're going to have the entire thing. Although server 1 has had resets, so that could complicate things. Anywho. That's it for now. We got our files downloaded. We got to start parsing the logs. So we got to kind of decide how we want to manage this data, make it a little bit less sort of one-time hacky, perhaps. And then look at actually rendering out tracing. Well, I am going to have to do some subtree tracing unless I want to try and produce a graph of all of server 1 of all time, which I don't know that Dottie would be very happy with that. I mean, we could maybe do it once for kicks, but it doesn't seem like that could tie up my CPU for a while. Oh, shoot. And I forgot to look at the camera. It's like, I knew. It's like, oh, we moved the camera. I forgot to actually look at it. Anyway. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Joey Chef for AP, Kiro Katsuni, Stormy Ice Leopard, Asaret Gaming, Deadly Tacos, Left for the Cry, Pixelogic Dev, and Dog Lake for hosting me. I'm currently planning to be back for Astroneer this afternoon, and then figuring out what I want to do the rest of the week. Got any other code going on here? Not a lot. Looks like Decoding is doing some kind of Haskell rank thing? I don't know. Sounds like an interesting project, though. I sometimes like to host smaller channels, but Decoding's a good place to hang out. If you look for some place to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye, and let's see. Yep, and until next time, see ya.